is for the Women's Officer position. The Women's Officer is responsible for representing students in matters relating to women, liberation, safety and their welfare. She is the guaranteed women's representation in the Union and is the only Liberation Officer representing students who are in the majority numerically. We have had a slight change to this running order that candidate Zainab Azam has withdrawn, so which will leave us with the following candidates, which you'll hear from this evening, of Stephanie Beshley, Fatima Uma Desai, Samaya Afzal, Ruxandra Marina Bakura, Ruta Najikite and Ron. Reopen nominations. So if those candidates would like to come up. As this is a sabbatical position, each candidate will get a 2-minute opening speech. There will be then questions to all candidates. There will then be a 1-minute summation speech. I will then sum up everything and we can all go home for the night. So, Women's Officer, we are going to start with, in candidate order, with Stephanie Beshley. Your 2-minute even opening speech starts now.
Hello, thank you everyone for coming here. It means a lot to see so many of you. My name is Steffi Beshley. A lot of you might know me. Thank you. I've been heavily involved in the union pretty much since my 2nd year here at Bradford. Hello. I'm not very good with technical things. I've been on the exec of Amnesty International, something which I'm so passionate about, it's unreal, for 2 years now. I'm the current president. Everyone knows I'm always going around with a petition going, hey, sign the placard, guys. And yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to change on campus for women. Harassment is one of those key issues, and I know a lot of my opponents are going to talk about that, and it's great that so many of us have that passion. A lot of people are harassed on campus, both women and men, and that's something that I want to challenge. It's not just that, I want to champion women in sports, societies and areas of academic excellence. I think too often women get overlooked for the men that do the exact same thing in their area, and that's not on. Right, harassment. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I'm not a great public speaker. Harassment, women, champion women. Also, yeah, I'm very hardworking. Anyone that knows me knows that when I commit to something, I commit 100%. And that is shown through all the work that I've done at this university and that I will continue to do when I leave and for the rest of my life. I'm passionate about human rights, I'm passionate about women's rights, but I'm also equal and fair. If a male member of the student body comes to me with an issue, I'll treat them the same as a woman, and I think that's really important. If you elect me, I will work 7 days a week, 9 to 9. I will be the person that will represent you. I will not let you down. Please vote Steffi #1. Thank you.
Okay, that was the opening speech there for candidate Stephanie Beshley for Women's Officer. Next person to speak is Fatima Uma Desai, also standing for Women's Officer, and your 2-minute opening speech starts now.
Hi, my name is Fatima, and I'm campaigning to be your Women's Liberation Officer for next year. We are all aware of the problems that women face on this campus, and I believe that female engagement within the union is incredibly important and one step towards working towards this solution. If elected, I want to focus on 3 main areas. Firstly, I would like to invite successful female speakers as a tool of empowerment and inspiration. Secondly, I would like to improve and revive previous campaigns like Take Back Your Respect, which is a sexual harassment campaign focused on Great Horton Road, and Beat the Burglar, as well as reinforcing zero tolerance policy on this campus. Thirdly, I would like to launch a body positivity campaign for all students. By working with the sports and societies to ensure that students have happier and healthier relationships with their bodies whilst at university. Celebration of women's achievement is important, and it's important for today's generation. I would like to host bigger and better events, both on this campus and on School of Management campus, to ensure that things like women's achievement in for International Women's Day, Breast Cancer Awareness Month and UBU Women's Week are celebrated. By simply talking to students allows better engagement and more transparency with the union, and I would like to dedicate special drop-in sessions for female students so that they can come and talk to me about their problems and issues that they face. It would be an honour to be elected as a representative of the female population at this university, and if you feel the same, please elect me for women's liberation.
Okay, that was the opening speech for candidate for Women's Officer, Fatima Uma Desai. The next person to speak is Samaya Afzal, also standing for the position, and your 2-minute opening speech starts now.
Hi everyone, my name is Samaya and I'm running for the Women's Officer this year. I'm a 2nd year biomedical sciences student and I've been the elected BME officer for 2 years now. Now, over the last 4 years, I've supported not only 1, 2, 3, but 4 women's officers that have been elected into the union on various campaigns, committees and events. Now, I know what issues we face on campus. So there are a few specific things that I want to implement. Number 1 is to move the women's officers closer to the advice centre, whether that's a few hours a day or a few days a week. The women's officer has an intrinsic duty to safeguard the welfare of female students on campus, and you can only do this effectively if there's better communication between the advice centre and the SABs. Number 2, a practical approach to harassment. Now, it's pretty obvious there is a problem with harassment on this campus, so I want to change the attitude. I want to change I want to be able to challenge harassment at its basic level, which is disrespect for the students around you. And I want to encourage, incident reporting, a zero-tolerance approach, whether it's, in the UBU offices, which I have faced harassment, faced, misogynist behaviour inside the UBU office even, the wider campus, and at NUS level as well. So thirdly, I want to work closer with the university and the new Student Safety and Welfare Coordinator, invigorating existing campaigns like Beat the Burglar, update Safe Spot staff training, incident reporting, and finally have an inclusive Women's Week. Now, Safe Spot is really important because my younger brother, who's actually 15, actually uses Safe Spot, so it does work, but it needs to be reinvigorated. For feedback to introduce a fairer appeals procedure with specific cultural and gender training initiatives if that's necessary. Strengthening links between the union and the Equality and Diversity Group, which is really, really important. I've sat on the Equality and Diversity Group for 2 years, and there's just such a disparity between the Students' Union, the student body, and the university.
Thank you. That was the opening speech there for Samaya Afzal. Next person to speak is candidate for Women's Officer Roxandra Marina Bakur, and your 2 minutes opening speech starts now.
Hi everyone, I'm Roxy and I'm running for Women's Officer this year. The reason I've chosen this position is because I have a clear understanding, I think I have a clear understanding of what women have to face every day in and out campus. I live outside the campus and I'm pissed off because people talk about harassment and safety in the campus, but no one talks about Great Horton Road and what is outside Great Horton Road or even in the city center. Now, if I get elected, I'll try and focus my campaign on 3 main issues, which is inspire, educate, and empower. I know that was the logo and the slogan of Women's Initiative. And I'll try to redevelop Women's Initiative because I strongly believe in that campaign. Educate. Because I've been in the last year, because I've been an international student officer, I've learned about the beauty of the woman's diversity, and also I've learned about the uniqueness that lies in every woman. Women need to be treated as equal, regardless of their religion, regardless of the country where they're coming from. Thank you very much, and vote Roxy, and thank you.
Okay, that was the opening speech there for candidate for Women's Officer Roxandra Marina Bakur. The last person to speak is the final candidate is Ruta Najakite, and your 2 minutes opening speech starts now.
Hello. I'm really amazed by the strong women who are my competitors. I'm amazed that we are 5 this year. Actually, I think it's the biggest number ever running for Women's Officer. So why I'm here? I remembering myself sitting in a lecture and talking about violence around the world, violence in Middle East, violence in Latin America. And then I found myself thinking that we have violence around us. Why I'm always questioning myself what to dress when I'm going to Sainsbury's to buy bread. When I raised this issue, my classmates start raising their hands and saying that not just the girls feels in that way, but the guys as well. How the guy feels when he walking his girlfriend home and the girl was harassed, dragged to the car. Yeah. So I think this is not issue about one person. We all have this story and we need to speak out, because if we're not speaking out, we feel like victims. And if we feel like victims, we look like victims, and we are treated like victims. And I don't want to be authority. I want to be a friend. I want to cooperate with people and exchange ideas. I heard so many good things how we can change Bradford. And it's so amazing that people can share and actually create some kind of different environment. And I believe that the people who are going to join my run are going to work with their blood, sweat and tears in order to achieve something better. Thank you.
Okay, that was the opening speech there for candidate Ruta Nayakite. You've heard then from all the candidates for the position of Women's Officer. They are Stephanie Beshley, Fatima Umar Desai, Samaya Afzal, Roxandra Marina Bakor and Ruta Nayakite. Zainab Azam has withdrawn. There's also Ron reopened nominations as well. So we're now going to go to the questions for all candidates. If you would like to submit a question to all candidates, you can do so to the Elections Committee here or by emailing studio@ramair.co.uk using the shout box at ramair.co.uk as well, or you can tweet the word Ramair, then your question to 60300. Remember to include your UB number. So the question, first question to all candidates. There are a lot of women in sport, yet over the years there has been very little engagement with the Women's Officer. How will you make yourself available to them? Stephanie, if you could answer that question firstly, please.
Okay, so as I've already said, I think that championing women in sports societies and academic excellence is something that is crucial for the next Women's Officer, whoever it may be. Women in sports, a lot of great achievements have been achieved this year by women in sport. Women's basketball, for example, how many people have actually celebrated that success? Women's football, women's netball, who might even be promoted. These are all fantastic things that women on our campus and within our society are achieving, and we're ignoring that, and that's wrong. If I was elected Women's Officer, I would make sure that all of this information is on Ramair, it's in the student newspaper, it's on UBU Online, that we're all talking about it and that everybody knows. So yeah, I think that women in sports and society should all be championed equally. Thank you.
Okay, and
As a way of celebrating the achievement of women in sports, when we have fairs, when we have events, inviting those sports clubs to have a stall, come down, speak to them, get to talk to other female students so that they can also encourage those students to participate more, particularly female students. Also, I would like to encourage more women during Freshers' Fairs to ensure that they've got their club thing in the handbook, the society's handbook, and then from that way ensuring also that when freshers come into university, have a pack for female students with all the sports and societies listed on there so that they can get more involved with sports. Thank you very much.
okay, and Samaya.
I think it's very obvious to see that when there aren't enough role models, female role models in sports and societies for female students to look at and to aspire to, that does lead to a cycle of female students not being able to have the confidence or even to know about what they can join and what they can't. So showcasing, trying to get when it does come to freshers, there are always the male-dominated sports are always, quite out there, but you see things like basketball. I think basketball, there was a running period where they didn't lose a game, women's basketball, and it just wasn't out there. So I think, again, like what we can do practically is to showcase, try to have open sessions where, students can come, female students can come to the union and find out what kind of sports and societies there are that they can join. And that's my job, really, to make sure that there is as much engagement with students as a member of the union anyway. So if I do get elected as Women's Officer, my priority will be to get as much female student engagement in all areas of the union.
Okay, 1 minute, thank you. And Roxandra, please.
Right, women to get involved in sports, they need to be inspired, they need to see you first, they need to see you're actually participating into those events. I don't agree with the idea that we should move Women's Officer in the advice center, whatever, in the atrium, in the Richmond, that the Women's Officer should be here and it should be open to everyone and it should be an inspiration to everyone. If I'm not the inspiration, I'll be glad to look for inspirations for you, I'll be glad to look for speakers, for great women who've achieved so much in the sports. We had this amazing event, we had the Olympics, I'm coming from a country in which you don't find too many empowered women, and that's what I'm changing myself because I've been here and I'm trying to change women students as well. Thank you.
And Ruta, please.
My answer would be social media, because everybody nowadays have a Facebook, We watch YouTube videos. For example, I saw a documentary our media students done about our women's rugby team, which is shown in City Centre on the big screen, so people can see what actually women students are doing. And I love how one of the students said that everybody expects us to be hairdressers, to do something girly, but we are playing rugby and we are proud of it. So I think that kind of things make you feel that it's cool and I want to join it. And after that I was thinking, yeah, I would like to play rugby. So yeah.
Okay, right, the next question for candidates for the position of Women's Officer. The student union works as a team. What experience of teamwork do you have? And Fatima, if you could answer that firstly, please.
During sixth form, I was the chairperson and head girl for my during sixth form. Not only was I a leader, but I had to listen to students. From there, I organised trips, delegated tasks. As an academic rep for 2 years now, I have been part of a team that has helped many P3 students with any issues that they have faced, and listening to their students, to the students' voice, and engaging and acting upon it. One of the most important things was in getting involved in the campaign to bring back the library back to 24 hours. And so, yeah, I do have an incredible amount of experience for teamwork, and I know just how important it is to listen to other people, but then also take your own views and take everybody else's on board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Samaya, if you could answer that next, please.
Teamwork. I have been a member of the executive team for 2 years. I think that requires a hell of a lot of teamwork. If you've been to council meetings, if you've been to executive meetings. I've also been treasurer and president of the United for Palestine Society. Again, that requires teamwork for an annual event that we have. I've been on union council. I've been part of 2 national committees, the Federation of Student Islamic Societies, the NUS National Black Students Committee. It is all about teamwork. It's all about the work that you do with other people. No one can get anywhere on their own. So I think I've got, I've got a lot of experience when it comes to teamwork. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. And Roxandra, please.
I'm proud to announce you that I've been a proud president of the Romanian Society in the last 2 years. Ever since I worked in the union in the last year, it's been the greatest experience I've ever had, working with such a diverse team. As the international student officer, seeing people from the countries I didn't even know they exist, and seeing they have issues that are related to my issues, even though I didn't know them and I wasn't connected to them at all. That's what because I've been learning so many things in the last 2 years. I will try and be part of and create and be part of a woman team, a woman with each representative, with each representative of each community that can help me develop and increase the number of women who are engaging in societies, in sports, in everything that actually means a team. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ruta, please.
So first of all, I started working from the years when I was 16. I started supporting myself, and I've always been a team member. Then I'm the president of the Baltic State Society. Then last year I was volunteering in an incredible project called Peace Jam. Then I'm helping with the charity Child Reach. We now actually helping out to make a conference in Liverpool Hope University for the Initiative for Change, if you know the charity. So yeah, and in my house we all like a team. Like, we are empowered, 5 women. If you meet one, if you have messed with one, you're gonna mess with everyone. So yeah, woo!
And finally for this question, Stephanie, please.
I think it's pretty clear from all the work that I've done on this union and before I even came to Bradford that I'm very much a team player. Whilst I am the current president of Amnesty, I worked my way up. I was secretary when I started, then I was vice president, and I know that success cannot be achieved in a group of people if you only follow one person's ideas. It's about collaboration, sharing ideas, and treating everybody as equal, regardless of anything. So apart from Amnesty, I've sat on the Union Council as Society's Federation rep, and represented loads of people en masse. I've worked with my local government, I've worked on 2 service projects for Peace Jam. I'm very much a team player and about listening to everyone's ideas. But whilst I am a team player, I'm not afraid to delegate and I'm not afraid to lead. And I think that's an important quality that your future women's officer needs to have. Thank you.
The next question for candidates for the role of Women's Officer is, the Women's Officer is the full-time support at the Union for the other liberation campaigns for disabled, LGBT and black students, among others. What would you do to support these roles? And Samaya, if you could go firstly with that one, please.
I'm a part-time officer and I know how much support is actually needed by the full-time officer, so if I was elected Women's Officer, the one thing I would do was to instill some kind of obviously to work with the Sports and Societies Officer. A lot of students are engaged with the union through sports and societies. Now at the beginning of the year they have to go through training. Now I've seen other universities and I've helped out in projects where for example in Salford University, where you have to have disability training before you become an exec of a society, and then you have to instill that through to your members. Obviously that's how it would help the disabled students officer. Again, with the LGBT, the black and minority ethnic, the students with dependents, there are so many other things that you can do, similar projects like that. So yeah, that's one way. Another way, helping them out with events, booking rooms. There are a wealth of problems that you come across as a part-time officer. Sometimes you don't have time to do all the admin work for your campaign. So definitely Black History Month, LGBT History Month, Women's Week, International Women's Day, which is on Friday. There are so many things that we can kind of make sure that there's intersectionality.
Thank you. Roxandra, please.
Right, the beauty, but also the flaw of this position is that you have to represent every woman. We have LGBT, we have women classified as who see themselves as LGBT, we have disabled women, we have so many different categories and we need to support all of them. Regarding to part-timers, I've been a part-timer, I know what it's like working more than you work for the union without being paid, so I will always support the part-timers in this because all of them have so many things to do, and I know that most of them put more passion than anyone else in this. Thank you.
And Ruta, please.
As I said before, I would like to make things more interesting for students, like to make videos, to advertise on Facebook, because not everybody going to the Freshers Fair or a Freshers Fair. Nobody knows about it, or nobody wants to go alone. So yeah, just trying to make people cooperate, join each other, join societies, and then be more happy, I think.
Okay, thank you. And Stephanie, please.
As part of Amnesty, I've already worked with all of those groups. We've already done a 5-night film festival focusing on LGBT rights. It's something I'm extremely passionate about. I know it's taboo in Bradford, but so that we should talk about it. Everyone should be equal. In terms of Disabilities Officer, we've already worked on Mental Health Awareness Week with Luke. If I get this role, that's something I'd be happy to champion. I believe that everyone's equal, whether they're able or disabled. I don't think what you have on your body should be an impairment. That's not the most PC way of saying it, but anyway. So yeah, and BME, coming from a minority background that isn't represented anywhere, I know exactly what it's like to not have your voice heard. I've been a part of Black History Month. I went to the National Slavery Museum. I thought it was an amazing experience, really interesting, really educational. And I think more students should be aware of that. But not just Black History Month, but also other minority groups on campus that aren't supported and aren't focused on. If I got elected, then of course there is the whole admin issue of things, but I think it's more about support and championing people and making sure that everyone feels supported.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Fatima, please.
The answer to this is simple, it's teamwork. SABs have to support part-time officers, and if elected, I would definitely work with part-time officers to ensure that all areas of women, no matter what no matter what group they come from, no matter what their sexual orientation is, that they are represented, that they are supported, and that is back to what I said, transparency. If you are available, you show that you are available to other students and to part-time officers, they will come to you and they will ask you for your help, and I will be there to support them.
Okay, the next question for candidates for Women's Officer. We heard what you will do, but what experience backs you up for this position? What UBU involvement have you had during your time here? And Roxandra, if you could answer that firstly, please.
I've been a very proud international student officer in the past year. I've done so many airport pickups, I can't even remember. I've done so many stalls during Freshers' Fair and Refreshers' Fair for international students, speaking to each one of them, trying to learn new languages in order to engage with them. In the union, I'm proud to say that I stay more time in the union rather than my home right now. So, and the reason I still want to be part of this union is because the union has offered me many things, more things than the university has been offering me. Thank you.
Okay, and Ruta, please.
I was working as international students supporter at the beginning of the year. It was really interesting to make tours around the university and be the first person they actually meet in here. So I have a society as well. We're trying to raise awareness about 3 little countries in Europe: Lithuania, Estonia and Latvia. Woohoo! Yeah, and I'm quite active in my cause as well. I think all PE students are quite active, and we all try to, no? Okay. So I would try to change it as well, to raise our voices, and we want to be heard because we all have something to say, and I think we should cooperate.
And Stephanie, please.
Sorry, could you just repeat the question? My mind completely wandered off, if I'm honest.
It's going to take me 7 hours now. We heard what you will do, but what experience backs you up for the position? What UBU involvement have you had during your time here?
Okay, I think what I've done in the past 2 years alone, not even the 3 years that I've been here, speaks volumes. My involvement in Amnesty, my involvement in the Students' Union, sitting on council, that went on for so many hours, as Societies Federation representative. I've helped out with MSF, I've been part of their exec group. I've done so much. Anyone that knows me knows how hard I have worked, and it's not just been in my university life, it's been before university, and it will continue long after. So yeah, thank you.
And Fatima, please.
I'm currently part of the exec team for the Water for Life Society, which is a charity society. Last semester we raised £5,000 for Gaza, and that was through just in 1 week. My UBU involvement, I have helped previous women's officers with their campaigns, and I've also just been around the union. People know me, people have seen my face, and I think one of the other things that I've done is, I think that's it, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, and Samaya, finally, please.
Yeah, I think it's a running joke in the union that the part-time officers spend more time in the office than the full-time officers do. Yeah, for the last 2 years I have been a part-time officer. For the year before that I was I was elected onto union council. The year before that I was the secretary for the previous BMA officer. What else have I done? I've been treasurer of the United Palestine Society, and I've been president for 2 years. I have been here for 4 years, and I have helped out in everything. Sorry. Yeah, I've helped out in every single aspect, whether that's chaperoning I think it was the Monster Bowl, whether it's picking up international students during, before Freshers' Week, helping the last 4 women's officers, I've helped them out with their campaigns. I have spent more time in the union than in the last 4 years than I probably have at home and lectures put together. So I have spent a hell of a lot. I've invested so much in the last 4 years in this union, and I think that, and it's a testament to my commitment that I want to give more.
Okay, so you've heard answers there to questions from the Women's Officer candidates. You're listening live in Student Central on RAME and via UBTV. If you'd like to get your questions in, please get them into the Elections Committee now, as we will be closing those questions very shortly. Or you can email them to studio@rame.co.uk via the website, or text 60300 followed by RAME and your question. The next question to the candidates for the position of Women's Officer. In our sports club there is a big imbalance between the sexes. The men's team get all the kit and training because they are much bigger. Will you address this, and how? And Ruta, if you could answer that one firstly, please.
And which sports club is it?
It doesn't say.
So first of all, we should know who is doing that, which society is making that kind of inequality in university, and then address the issue, because I think everybody understands that this is the issue, like why somebody should have something just because they're bigger. I think everybody understands that this is a nonsense. So I would go and just, first of all, we need to question and see what kind of problems we have, and then we can solve them. So don't remain silent, start speaking. Thank you.
Okay, and Stephanie, please.
I'd actually like to echo what a candidate in a previous role has already stated. I think it should be about participation and not about what you win. I think that regardless of whether you're a women's sports club or a male sports club, you should get the same amount of funding if your sports team requires it. Regardless of whether you're moving up the league tables, if you've got members that are passionate and dedicated, you should have the funding to support that. You should be able to go and play a team wherever they are in the country. You should be able to have the kit that you need to perform at your very best. And as I've said before, women's sports are something that I really want to champion. Not just women's basketball, women's football and women's netball that most of us know that they've already have major successes in. What about the women's sports and the mixed sports that aren't talked about? Everyone should be treated as equal.
Yeah. Fatima, please.
Like Steffi said, it's about talking to the societies, finding out what they, where is the imbalance and why is there an imbalance? If there is an imbalance, then how should we address it? And that would involve sitting down with the Sports and Societies officer and the club that's got these kind of problems, and then trying to address those kind of issues through funding.
And Samaya, please.
Equality is my priority, you know, which is evident in the role that I've been doing for the last 2 years. So I think I can't really understand how there would be a situation where the female, for example, a female sportswoman would not get the same equipment as the men's. So definitely this is some, you know, if I do get elected, you know, the main my main sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. My main priority is to keep an open and active women's forum where women can come to me and speak to me about their issues. So, you know, and this is, you know, clearly quite a big one. So, you know, again, working with the rest of the exec team and working with each of the sports clubs, having meetings at SF Council and AU Council, trying to get as much open debate as possible and try and root out issues like these, because, you know, if we don't hear about them, we can't do anything about them. So thank you.
And Alexandra?
Women are quite involved in societies. I've seen so many powerful societies presidents. There's obviously a big gap between the societies and the sports club, and I would address this issue by talking to the sports and societies officer, to UNIC, and maybe with the sports club. There are some reasons why women don't get involved. It might be because of the promotion, it might be because they don't feel safe, it might be because the yellow safe spot, just staying in front of a yellow safe spot doesn't mean you're actually safe. It might be because they don't feel engaged into different sports. So I would address this issue by focusing on the main issue, on the main causes why women don't get involved in sport, which are safety, maybe the problem that they don't know the sports club exists, and non-engagement. Thank you.
Okay, you're listening to questions and answers to the candidates for Women's Officer at Hustings 2013. If you'd like to get involved on Twitter, the hashtag is Bradford Elections. The next question is, speaking as a woman, what do you like best and hate most about the university itself? And could Stephanie start that question, please?
What do I like best about the union? I tend to look at things from a gender-neutral perspective. I think it's the best way to be inclusive of everyone's opinions. But I'll start off with the negative, because that's the easiest. The thing I hate most about Bradford, the university and the city in general, is the harassment. Everyone knows it. It's a bit of a joke. It's not just women that face it, though, which is why I try and look at things with a gender-neutral perspective. The thing I love the most about the University of Bradford, it's let me meet some of the most inspirational women I think I'll ever meet in my entire life, and I don't say that lightly. People know I don't mush my words that often. But some of the women on this campus, both the staff and the students, have been absolutely inspirational and have made me want to be better and challenge things, so I thank them for that.
Fatima, please.
What I've loved most about being a woman and being at university here is the diversity, the people that I've come to meet, the people that have inspired me to be the best that I can be. That's something that will take away for forever and ever now, because that's something that's become a part of me. What I've disliked most about university is, as a woman, I would say, like Steffi, is the harassment and the lack of safety and guidelines for women on this campus, and how we have a zero tolerance policy on campus, but it is not really enforced, which I think, if elected, I would definitely try to change. Thank you very much.
And Samaya?
What I love most. Okay, so I'll start with, again, with what I hate. I think harassment is probably the latter end of the problem. When it comes to the problems that we face in Bradford, I think it roots from a lack of respect, and there are so many other offshoots and behavioural problems, or or whatever's happening on campus. I think it does root from a lack of respect. So that's one thing that I dislike about Bradford. What I really like about Bradford is that 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to stand in front of 3 people and say anything. But now, I'm here and I'm able to stand up in front of, a couple more. So I think that's something that Bradford itself, the university, has engendered that kind of attitude in me, and I think it can do that to so many other people. Whereas you feel like you can't speak up, whereas now I feel like I actually do have a voice. So if for the comfortable and inviting atmosphere that the union has, I think I would say probably that's the best thing about it. Thank you.
And Alexandra, please.
I love many things about the union and the university. Diversity. I love talking to people from countries I didn't even know they used to exist. I love being inspired by people who work during the day to pay their rents, by women who work during the day and then they study during the night. I love being inspired by single moms who who finish their degree with a first. I love being inspired by people who do something against harassment, not just say that harassment exists and not just supporting campaigns. I love seeing how women try sometimes to educate the men, and how sometimes they try to let them know that what they're doing is wrong, and this lack of respect doesn't have to exist in a civilized society. Thank you.
Okay, and Ruta, please, finally.
I never say that I hate something. I always say I question. I question why we feel in the way we feel. I feel happy. When I feel happy, I'm questioning myself. What kind of things makes me happy? In university, every single day I can feel happy, and I can feel that I felt unappreciated. Like if I go somewhere and someone harasses me or treats me in the way that I'm not good enough, or my language is not good enough because I'm not English, or I look that I meant to be harassed as a victim or someone. So I question that, why people think in that way. Nobody's evil. I don't believe in that. And I don't hate that kind of, I don't hate people. I think this is the best and the worst thing, that this kind of issues exist. But the worst thing is that we don't question, we say we hate or we love, rather than questioning. So yeah, I would say that we should start questioning.
Okay, that's your 1 minute. Yep. Okay, so those are the answers to that question for the candidates for the Women's Officer. If you'd like to get your questions in, we will be closing those very shortly, so make sure you get those in. The next question is, the Women's Forum has disbanded. What will you do to ensure you meet with a variety of women on a regular basis and get their voices heard? Fatima, if you could start off the answers for that, please.
The Freshers' Fair, first of all, have a stall and make sure that we've got the merchandise, the paraphernalia and everything that goes with it. Ensure that education and talking to students and letting them know that there is a women forum that does exist, that meets on a regular basis, and then getting freshers and getting even third years, second years, getting everybody involved, talk to them, and then ensure that it does meet on a regular basis through education, and then also clarifying what is the Women's Forum, what does it do, and then promoting it. Thank you very much.
Samaya, please.
It's the Women's Initiative that has been disbanded. It's constitutionally impossible for you to disband the Women's Forum because as Women's Officer, it's part of your job to make sure that it runs, and if it's not running, then people need to question why it's not running. Again, the only thing I can promise, if elected, is to make sure that there's a Women's Forum every single month, more frequently if it's needed. That's what I'd say. Again, same kind of things with Freshers' Fair, trying to reach out to women before they come to university, so the information that you get before you actually hit campus, so things like that. I mean, there should be a women's forum, and that's what I'm going to say.
Okay, and Roxandra, please.
In the last year, I've run the International Students Forum, and please believe me, if you can get international students being involved, you can get even the teachers being involved in the Women's Forum or any other forum. What else? Media channels, Freshers' Fair, Refreshers' Fair, send them an email, make the forum look like a team. It doesn't have to look like a forum, it doesn't have to look like a lecture. I'm not going there showing them, I won't be going there showing them that this is who I am and that's what I do. I will be going there showing them that I'd like to be part of this beautiful team of women, and I will try and tell them and let them know that without a women team, you can't actually run any events, and you can't represent properly this beautiful diversity. Thank you.
Okay, and Ruta, please.
I would change the format of the forum, though. I would prefer doing it like Gender Day and Peace Studies, when we have little workshops, and then people are more keen to stand up, because it's really hard to get here and be judged by all of you. So I think it's better to talk in smaller groups, then more people would raise their issues and would speak out, especially if you have really deep issue. You're not gonna go there and just say, I was raped or something like that. Thank you.
And Stephanie, please.
I think it's really important to engage students before Freshers' Fair and Refreshers' Fair. I think it's important to stay in contact with the people who are going to be coming in for the next academic year that are still studying here. So going to the first years and the second years and saying, hey, you didn't know there was a women's forum? Why not? What can we do to improve that? And getting everyone engaged. I think the Women's Forum and the Women's Initiative needs to be an open and inclusive space for all women. No one should feel threatened or like they can't say what their opinion is because of fears of other people overpowering them. I don't think that's okay. I also think whilst Refreshers' Fair and Freshers' Fair are great, it's also important to go to halls of residence and to go to women's sports and societies meetings and letting other women on campus know that, hey, this forum, this initiative is available and you can attend and be part of something brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, the next question to candidates for the position of Women's Officer. What would you do about the issue of harassment on and around campus? And Samaya, if you could tackle that one firstly, please.
I think harassment needs practical steps now to combat it, because I've heard for the last 4 years, every single women's officer comes in and tries to do something about it, and can't. I think I'm in one of the best positions to go in and start right away. So whether that's including having a public lecture to talk about harassment, so the police can actually see and the university management can actually see what's going on, because right now at the moment there isn't enough evidence of harassment. It happens every single day, it happens to all of us, yet we don't report it. So, if you are walking down Great Horton Road and there is a car that goes past and says something to you, you need to be able to feel comfortable enough to report that, so I can then take the evidence, the women's officer can then take the evidence to the university and say this is a problem, because the first step to solving a problem is to be able to show that that it's actually happening. The other thing is continuing on with the previous women's officers' works with the Take Back Your Respect campaigns, the reporting.
That's your 1 minute. Thank you. And Sandra, please.
Right, the issue of harassment needs to be treated without. The issue needs to be treated regardless of the community where you're coming from, regardless of harassment happens outside the prayer room or at the FNDs or even in the bars in the town. The issue of harassment also needs to be treated not only in the campus. We have so many students living outside the campus, so many students who finish their courses at 8 and they don't even know the U-bus exists, they don't even know there's someone who can drive them till home. We have so many students who don't even feel safe if they met if they had such issues, they don't even feel safe to come, and they don't even feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable going to the advice center. I would feel comfortable first going and speaking my own and telling my own problem to a woman's officer first, to someone who I know it will be there for me and who will listen to me. Thank you.
Okay, and Rita, please.
If we want to tackle the problem, first of all, we need to understand why it's happening. Questioning. When I raised this question in the lecture of understanding the violence, my lecture connected with police and council is really interested as well. So what's going to happen now? There's going to be a group of women, 40 women from different backgrounds, who are not just students, from different religious backgrounds, political views, age groups, and they're going to speak about it and see what is happening, what are the causes of it. We need to question the safe spots, how effective they are. I was talking with a security guard in the campus. Apparently we have just one person going around. How effective our emergency buttons are. What kind of social campaigns we have and what can we do to make people aware about safety and how can we improve it. So thank you.
And Stephanie, please.
I think it's pretty safe to say harassment sucks. Yeah, so it's not just an issue on campus, as a few of my opponents have said, it's an issue across the whole of Bradford and the whole of the UK. It's not just secluded to this city. Something that I'm really keen to expand upon are the previous women's officers campaigns, but because I have worked on them, I know their successes and I know their failures. I know where we can expand and make them better and make them more inclusive to reach out to all students. I'm also involved with the forum that's being started with Jenny Pierce and Lisa Cummings, who have both worked on the Bradford riots. I realise that what happens in terms of harassment is bad, but we need to tackle the core issues. We need to be going to schools, into colleges, and understanding why this is a societal issue, because it's not just the students of Bradford who need to be educated. I also believe that we need to work on the safe spots. We need to speak to security. We need to see if we can increase funding, if that's actually something within our remit, and if it's not, why isn't it? Why can't we challenge it within the Constitution? Why can't we make more people aware of it? So yeah, let's just generally fight harassment, because it sucks.
And Fatima, please.
Right, there are two ways of tackling harassment. Firstly, reinforcing zero tolerance policy on campus, and secondly, educating men about the Take Back Your Respect sexual harassment campaign that is focused on Great Horton Road. First, as I worked on the Take Back Your Respect campaign 2 years ago, like Steffi, I know the successes and the fails of the campaign. I would love to improve, promote, by having more merchandise, more paraphernalia, more information, but also making it easier for female students to report harassment and being available to female students to ensure that they do feel comfortable, that they are there, that they do report the harassment that does go unnoticed.
Okay, you are listening to questions and answers to the candidates for Women's Officer at the Union Hustings 2013. Questions are now closed, so we'll get through to the final 4 questions. This one is, what support would you give to empower women on campus? And Sandra, if you could start with that one, please.
Is that me? Is that Ruxandra?
Ruxandra, sorry.
I would use all the women we have in peace studies. They are so powerful and so inspiring people. I would use all the men in peace studies. And no, I would workshops, educate and inspire. You can have so many things. It's so easy just to bring someone who would inspire women. It's so easy to find talented people. It's so easy to find people who went out of their comfort zone, people who realize something, and people who are game to come and share your knowledge and share their knowledge to you and help you become like them. Thank you.
And Rita, please.
I think you need to make it cool. You need to make videos. You need to use Facebook. You need to talk with people, because nobody's gonna come to event when we're gonna talk about, I don't know, victims, because it's really sad. We're students, and yeah, some of us are interested, but we can reach more people if we're actually talking in the language they would prefer hearing us, so we can talk about issues in different way, and I think then we would raise awareness. Thank you.
And Stephanie, please.
No, I just double check, the question was about empowering women on campus, is that correct?
Yes, what support would you give to empower women on campus?
Okay, I think as women's officer, it's pretty obvious that you should support every single woman on campus, but I think that you should support every single student regardless, and I think that goes beyond a single sport, a single society, or a single department. I think it should be inclusive of everybody. As women's officer, if I got elected, I would go to every sport and society group and say, hey, we want to get you involved, we want to empower you, we want to champion you, tell us your successes, tell us where you need support. But I also go to lectures, get course reps involved, work with the full SAB team, work with the advice centre. No person will be left unasked for help and whatever. Yeah, that's really not the right wording, but you know what I mean. Yeah, generally support everyone.
Fatima, please.
As I said in my manifesto and I said in my opening speech, I would like to inspire and empower women through the use of inviting successful female guest speakers to talk to students, to talk to everybody, and get them to then do workshops and empower women that way, because that is one of the ways of, if you've got a role model who's there in front of you, you are more likely to feel inspired and empowered to make a difference and make a change and then follow in their footsteps. That is one of the ways of doing that. One of my role models is my mum, and that is only because I see her every day and I know who she is and she's real to me. And inviting somebody who's from the Bradford community, who's around, who any entrepreneur or anyone who is a successful female and she's standing in front of you telling you about her successes, is going to empower any student to do the best and be the best that they can be.
And finally, Samaya, please.
I've noticed that a lot of students tend to stay within their course groups or their schools or their departments. So I think the first thing that I would do is try to make sure that there is kind of that cross-department interaction between students. So, for example, you see in Student Central we have so many students sat around, yet none of them are actively engaging in the union. So I think one thing that would be very, very important is just simple little things, because it doesn't take much to to make someone feel good about themselves. So if you go around and talk to students, try and get them involved in things that you're doing. I think empowerment is quite subjective, so I think with every single person it's different, and I would take the time to get to know people, to make sure that I'm available to speak to people and empower them. Thank you.
Okay, the next question for candidates for the role of Women's Officer. If elected, how will you ensure that you reach out to women of black and ethnic minority backgrounds who are often marginalised and underrepresented? And Ruta, if you could start that one, please.
I think we have quite few societies who has loads of black and minority women involved as well. Like, I think international students should be tackled, because like we have quite big Chinese and Korean community, but nobody speaks about them as well. So I think we should include everybody and talk in the same way. Like, yeah, there should be liberation for everybody. So yeah.
And Stephanie, please.
I'd ensure that BME women are represented by working with the BME officer, whoever that happens to be. I wonder, might be wrong, doubt it. Yeah, and just championing people at every single opportunity. It doesn't matter whether you're from the government definition of BME or the Bradford definition of BME. I think everyone should be treated the same and championed the same.
Yeah.
And Fatima, please.
I come from a BME background, so of course I'm going to try and ensure that there is more female engagement. One of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of course reps, they don't come from a BME background, and I'm one of the very few ones that actually are when I was on the training. So encouraging more female students of BME background to get involved with things like this, which is one of the biggest things that I've said in my manifesto. I'd like to work with the BME rep, whoever that happens to be, and get them more involved, work with them, and then use that as a way of empowering more BME women to get more involved.
And Samaya, please.
Black and minority ethnic students have been my life for the last 2 years. Obviously, you know, with Women's Officer, I want to be able to change that and to include all women. But I think it's so important because the demographic in Bradford is so different. 65% of our student body is BME. The majority of those are women, because women make up the majority of this university. I think we're at 54%. So I would continue with what I've been doing in the last 2 years, to continue making those links. It's something that's happening in the NUS National Women's Campaign as well. They're trying to branch out and trying to get as many BME women involved. I would speak to as many societies. We have, the African Art Society was set up by one of the most prominent BME women on campus at Getty. I don't know if you know her. There are so many different, the Salsa Society. There are so many different societies that BME women are engaged in. The ACS. There's too many to mention. The ISOC even. So there's so many that I really want to get involved in. There's so many people that I want to be able to branch out to. So yeah, that's what I would do.
And finally, Ruxandra, please.
I'd love to work with the BME more for 2 reasons. First is because they've got so much potential. I'm working with the ACS right now. We're trying to organize a cultural show. I've seen so much engagement from ISOC last week. So the BME communities, I've learned that ever since last year, they have so much potential, and I think the problem is not theirs. The problem is how we're trying to approach them, and the problem is how we're trying to compromise, and how we're trying to find a balance between what they want, the events they want to do, and the events we want to do to empower women. The second reason I love to work with the BMEs is because they know this university. They know better than me, they know better than us this place, and they can help me reaching to every woman in this university, and they can help me tackle every deep issues I can't think about it. Thank you.
And the penultimate question for the candidates of the Women's Officer. What do you think are the pressing issues affecting women in today's society on an economic, political and social level? Stephanie, if you could answer that one firstly, please.
That's a heavy question for Hustings. On a political level, not enough women are participating in politics. I think it's really sad because women have the power to change and speak up about issues that only they can feel. Economically, women are paid less. It's disgusting, especially when they're doing the same jobs as a man and doing it pretty much the same, if not better. Economically, politically, and what was the other?
Social level, economic, political and social level.
Okay, socially, that's an obvious one. There's harassment, there's engagement within society and sports on a campus level. But just in general, women don't command the amount of respect that they deserve, and that is something that I think really needs to be addressed, not just within the university, but within the whole of the UK and wider.
And Fatima, please.
Any issue that affects a woman on this campus will most likely have stemmed from a social, political, or what was the other one? Economic level globally. So politically, yes, there is no female. There's hardly any female engagement on a political level. Socially, we know that there's like Steffi said, and like we've reiterated again and again. There's harassment. And all the violence, domestic violence, and we know all those issues that affect women socially, and was it economically?
Yeah, economic, political,
would be,
social.
We know that there's the difference in pay, and all the other issues that would affect women. I guess I'm not really focusing on a global level, because I would personally say that women. My focus would be women on a university level. What affects women on this campus, it would be my main focus, not really further out or internationally.
Samaya, please.
I think what goes on in the global atmosphere is what feeds and drives what we what affects us in our daily kind of realities. So economically, yeah, there is a pay gap, but I think we need to look more towards the political and the social kind of aspect. The representation, when it comes to the women's officer, you are the guaranteed women's representation. If we're a majority on campus, why are we not represented when it comes to roles, elected roles? Why does there need to be why does there need to be a specific representation role? I think that's something that can be challenged. Socially speaking, I think there's the idea that we're living in a post kind of like feminist liberated world, and that we should just sit down and shut up and kind of accept that we're now equal. I don't think we are. I think that there's still a hell of a fight to go. So yeah, I think I can't remember what the question was globally. Yeah, I think everything that's faced.
And Ruxandra, please.
Right, politically, economically and socially, I would appeal to communities. I've been part of a community in which women are not at all politically active. I've worked with women who speak up their mind and who are not afraid to say whatever is going on to their mind. And I've worked with women who simply don't think they have the right to an opinion. Economically, again, I've worked with people who need to have 3 jobs to pay for their rent and study during the night. I've worked with women who receive money from their parents. And socially, I'm coming from a community who's not actively engaged at all. And I am aware of the great diversity in this university, and I don't think that'll be a problem. Thank you.
And finally, Ruta, please.
What can I say? I would say that women's place is everywhere, and we keep forgetting it because we are not represented equally in politics. I think there is statistics that just 18% of officers in universities in UK are women. We are paid less, but we're actually doing the most of the work in the world. But at the same time, we have so many strong women, and I think we should celebrate it as well as understand that there are some inequalities, because in order to change something, you should understand, you should see the future, you should believe that it can happen. And if you want to believe, you need to see that it happened, first of all. Anyway.
Okay, and we come to the final question of for the candidates of Women's Officer and of the evening, which of course is the crucial question that we've all been waiting for the answers to. I know I have in particular. It's what is your favourite pizza topping? Fatima, if you'd like to go firstly, please.
I'm going to play it safe and go with chicken.
I hope there's a lot of chicken pizza tonight. It's very popular. Samaya, please.
Phil, after 4 years, I think you should know that I'm allergic to cheese, so I can't eat pizza. However, so I hope there's some kind of alternative. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Phil.
Don't blame me. I didn't ask the question.
No, it's been your question of the night, Phil. I think we know. No, I wouldn't go with any pizza topping because I don't like pizza. So thank you.
Okay. And Roxandra, please.
I would go with the most diverse pizza with the... Are you going to bring the pizzas today? Was that the last question, really? Okay. I would go with the most diverse pizza, a pizza that would comprise all of us, and the pizza that would try to represent all of us in a proper way. Thank you.
I hope that doesn't involve cannibalism. Ruta, please.
Anything beefy? I love meat face. Yeah.
And Stephanie, please.
I knew this question was going to come up. It's brilliant. Right, I would be a 4 cheeses because I build on the classic of a margarita, but I'm still just as delicious and enjoyable. Is that
Just don't breathe on Samaya. Right, so there you go. You've heard the answers to all the questions for the candidates of Women's Officer. We're now going to do summation speeches for all the candidates, which are 1 minute, and we will go in reverse order of ballot. So we're starting with Ruta, please. Your 1 minute summation speech for the position of a Women's Officer starts now.
I think we spoke a lot today, so and I want to go home. So you had almost everything I have to say. If you want, check out our YouTube videos, my Facebook page. Vote for Ruta.
Okay, that was the closing speech for candidate Ruta Nayakite. Up next is Roxandra, and your 1 minute summation speech starts now.
Right, I'm not going to promise anything because I'm not gonna promise anything because you won't be disappointed if I don't promise you anything. I'm just gonna spend this minute to tell you why I've chosen to run for this position and why I've chosen to run in the Students' Union. I've chosen to run because I think I need a break, and because I think all of you need a break, and because I've seen so many ladies struggling so much during these years, and because I've seen so many guys helping the woman, but I think there still are a lot of things to do. Thank you.
That was the closing speech there for candidate Roxandra Marina Bacoa. Next to speak is candidate Samaya, and your 1 minute summation speech starts now.
If you elect me as your women's officer, I will work towards unifying the student body, instilling respect for individuals and groups around us, continue to work locally on campus and with the NUS, Women's Campaign. So for a dedicated, responsible and above all experienced candidate focusing on justice, equality and solidarity, please vote Samaya number 1 for Women's Officer.
Okay, that was the closing speech for candidate Samaya Afzal, standing for Women's Officer. Next to speak is Fatima, and your 1 minute closing speech starts now.
If you want to see more empowerment, more inspiration, more safety on campus and wider female engagement, vote Fatima for women's liberation. Thank you very much.
That was the closing speech there for candidate Fatima Umar Jazai. And last to speak is candidate Stephanie, and your 1 minute summation speech starts now.
I think I've pretty much said all I need to say, but I'll just reiterate the main points. I'm dedicated, I'm hardworking, I'm passionate, I'm fair, I'm going to work for everyone. I'll be in that office 9 to 9, 7 days a week if the job requires. I'm approachable, I'm friendly, and yeah, I want this job more than anything because I want to support women in this union. I want to see it go from strength to strength because I believe that we can change things for the better here. Thank you very much, and if you like what you hear, vote Steffi.
That was the closing speech there for candidate Stephanie Bechelet. Right, you've heard there the opening, closing and answers from all the candidates for the position of Women's Officer. They were Stephanie Bechelet, Fatima Umar Desai, Samaya Afzal, Sandra Marina Bacoa and Ruta Anaya Kite. And Ron reopened nominations. So that is it for the first night